Chapter 52. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The Taiyu flying palace drifted slowly towards the Yi mansion. Along the way, plenty of people gawked at the sight. What is that thing? A spaceship that big? Didn't the Yi mansion ban flying contraptions over Qingqing? A ship that size has to belong to some big shot. Is the Yi mansion really gonna do anything? They're headed straight for the Yi mansion. This can't be good. The Yi mansion, of course, noticed the huge craft. Guards from the Yi family swarmed out, and a guy who looked like their leader, probably Divine Will Realm or something, yelled, "Who goes there?" That the spaceship didn't answer, like some silent beast, which was even more unnerving. Seeing things might be getting real, the guard captain told the guy next to him, "This ain't good. Go get family head Tong Bao, quick." The other guy was already spooked. He nodded and took off running toward the Yi mansion. Inside the main hall, everyone was still shooting the breeze. Yi Long chuckled, "His Royal Highness the Prince invited me to the Yi family as a guest in the capital. I've been gone just a few days, and I've got a bunch of new brothers here. What's that supposed to mean? Go on and visit, we'll be here waiting." "Yeah, if the Crown Prince invites you, the Yi family has to show some respect. Besides, the prince and our nephew Yi Qiu are tight as thieves. Nephew Yi Qiu is the golden boy of the Yi family. Who'd dare mess with the Yi family today?" Yi Long stroked his beard and grinned. "True enough. Who in their right mind would mess with us?" Right then, a guard came barging in. He shouted, "Family head, we got a problem. There's a giant spaceship parked right outside the gate. And the way they're acting. I'm afraid they're trouble." Yi Long's face went red. He just boasted that no one would dare offend the Yi family, and now someone was knocking at the door. Yi Long was angry and worried. "How can you be so clumsy? Who is it?" The guard stammered, "I couldn't tell, but they're huge." Several other Yi family bigwigs stood up, steaming. "Who's got the nerve to mess with us? The audacity! We can't let this go, or we'll look like chumps." Yi Long said angrily, "Let's go see who it is. Who dares to come after us?" They all walked out of the hall, ready to face whoever was causing the trouble. At the gate, the commander glared at the Taiyu flying palace and growled, "Who is it? State your name." Suddenly, something felt wrong. He looked at his arm. "Af! Af! Af!" The commander screamed. His arms were turning to sand, dissolving into thin air. First the arms, then the chest, then the limbs and head. He turned into sand, floating away. The guards around him turned into sand, too. Weird. Horrifying. People watching from a distance were shocked. Commander Lin was a big shot in the Divine Will realm. He was famous in Qingqing. His guards were agile masters of the Yuan Dan realm. Now they just vanished into thin air. No one had ever seen anything like it. Whoosh! Figures flew out of the giant ship, surrounding Yi Qiu. Everyone gasped at the power they sensed. Divine Will experts. How could there be so many? Yi Long and the others reached the Yi mansion square to find it packed with family members. When those family members saw Yi Long and his crew, they saw someone that would fix it. "Family head, this is bad. Guys in black suits have surrounded the whole place. The family head, Commander Lin and the others are all dead. What do we do?" Yi Long's heart sank. This was bad. He looked up and saw the place surrounded. The men in black made him dizzy with terror. All Divine Will experts. Every last one. He'd never seen so many Divine Will experts in his life. He even saw a few guys dressed like junior officers who were clearly magical power level. Junior officers with magical power level skills. Yi Long was confused. What kind of outfit could afford to have magical power level guys as junior officers? Fear gripped him, but he was the family head. He had to get it together. He called out, "I don't know what we've done to offend you, but please, tell us what this is about." Then several people flew out of the Taiyu flying tower. The leader was a young man, dressed in a fancy robe, handsome as could be. He looked down at the Yi family like they were ants. The men in black turned to him. They bowed to the young man and cried, "Greetings, master." Niayu sneered, "Master Qin Ting of the Xiantian sect has arrived. You should all be on your knees." An immense pressure burst from him, forcing every member of the Yi family to their knees. Even Yi Long, who had magical power, couldn't resist. The power of someone on the altar. It was terrifying. But no one noticed it. All they could think was, "Master Qin Ting of the Xiantian sect has arrived. How could this be?" Chapter 53. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The moment Niayu spoke, Qingqing went into shock. Who was Qin Ting? A top disciple of Xiantian sect. The heir apparent to the Holy Sun position. Xiantian sect was a powerhouse. The Fu kingdom itself was under Xiantian sect's thumb, sending tribute every year in exchange for protection. Qin Ting's recent breakthrough into the supernatural realm had caused a stir throughout the eastern wasteland, and even folks in this sleepy town of Qingqing had heard whispers, but they didn't pay it much mind, since both Xiantian sect and Qin Ting felt a world away, and now, here he was, in Qingqing. A shiver ran through the town. The Yi clan was floored. Never in their wildest dreams did they imagine Qin Ting himself would be coming after them. How had the Yi family managed to piss off someone of his stature? Frankly, the Yi family was in no position to cross Qin Ting. It was like an ant trying to take on a dragon. They were in different leagues. Yi Long was stunned. He quickly bowed his head, stammering, "I didn't realize it was Mr. Qin. Forgive my ignorance. How has the Yi family offended you?" Niayu sneered, "Yi Qiu was audacious enough to cross my young master and paid the ultimate price. As a member of his clan, you're all guilty by association. You deserve to be wiped out." Hearing that Yi Qiu was dead, Yi Long's heart twisted. "My son!" he cried out. Now the Yi clan understood where this disaster had come from. They went into a frenzy, begging, "Master Qin, please spare us. Mercy." Yi Qiu acted alone. "We knew nothing." "That's right. We've always disapproved of Yi Qiu's behavior. We're related in name only. Show some understanding, Mr. Qin." Qin Ting gazed down at the pathetic scene with indifference, like a god presiding over life and death. Realizing they were doomed, the Yi clan members turned on each other, spewing curses, but they wouldn't dare direct their venom at Qin Ting, even facing death at his hands. Instead, they unloaded their most vile curses on Yi Long. "It's all your son's fault. Yi Qiu. He's the reason we're all going to die. So much for the Yi family's rising star. He's a jinx. He brought ruin upon us. If Yi Qiu hadn't offended Mr. Qin Ting, none of this would be happening. I'll haunt your family for this." Even the sycophants who had praised Yi Long earlier were now screaming at him. Had they forgotten that Yi Qiu was the reason the Yi family had risen to prominence? That he was the reason they enjoyed their comfortable lives? Just moments before, they had hailed Yi Qiu as their savior. Now they were all cursing him. Even on their deathbeds, they wouldn't curse Qin Ting, the man about to kill them, choosing instead to unleash their rage on Yi Long. The irony. Yi Long stared at the angry faces of his clansmen, feeling a chill as if he were surrounded by strangers. Finally, he managed a bitter smile. "So, this is how it ends. You're all going down with me. Ha 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 ha." Then, his body convulsed, and he died, blood pouring from his orifices. A supernatural powerhouse, the head of the Yi family, had died in disgrace. Witnessing Yi Long's death, the rest of the clan knew there was no escape. Some, with a shred of honor, took their own lives to preserve their dignity, but most were unwilling to die quietly and scattered, desperately trying to flee. "Run. I don't want to die." Niayu narrowed his eyes, a cruel smile spreading across his face as he signaled. The Qin clan's iron guards, who had surrounded the Yi mansion, sprang into action, and the slaughter began. The Yi clan members were no match for the Qin guards and were cut down one by one. In moments, the Yi mansion had turned into a bloodbath. Bang! The last Yi clan member fell. The entire Yi family, over 1,000 strong, was wiped out. The Yi family, who had once ruled Qinqing, was no more. Every last trace erased. Qin Ting nodded in satisfaction, turned, and left. In his mind, these people were just ants, and crushing them was simply a matter of asserting his dominance. Don't cross Qin Ting. Elder Lu stroked his beard and sighed, young master is too soft. If you ask me, the entire Qinqing should apologize for Yi Qiu. The people of Qinqing, hearing this, were terrified. Their blood ran cold, and they groveled on the ground, begging for forgiveness. Nya Yu shot Elder Lu a sidelong glance. The old man was still a master at sucking up. As the massive Taiyu flying tower slowly departed, the people of Qinqing breathed a collective sigh of relief. Then, they began their own chorus of curses, that Yi Qiu was a real loser. He almost got Qinqing wiped off the map. Couldn't have said it better myself. Everyone agreed, they all took it for granted that the Yi family had been destroyed. If you offended a big shot like Qin Ting, death and annihilation were simply the natural consequences. This was the way of the world. The strong ruled. The weak? Just ants. Chapter 54. You are listening at novelfull.audio. At Taiyu Flying Tower, Qin Ting stood in the main hall, eyes fixed on his system panel. The victory over the Yi family had earned him another 100,000 villain points, bringing his total to 1,020,000. He gazed at the panel, lost in thought. He realized how much he'd changed. He used to be just a regular guy, living a predictable life. Now, he could wipe out entire families without a second thought. The underground palace taught him a hard lesson. He knew Jiang Zhongbai wouldn't just let things go, but by not striking first, he almost got himself killed. That's why, this time with the Yi family, he didn't hesitate, even though they posed no real threat. A dark glint in his eyes, Qin Ting murmured, better to betray the world than let it betray me. Meanwhile, in Fuda City, the royal capital of the Fu Kingdom, Emperor Fukong was in the royal palace, deep in meditation. Dressed in imperial robes, his presence was imposing, like a vast ocean, a powerhouse at the peak of his magical abilities. An old eunuch suddenly appeared before him, bowing low. Your Majesty, he whispered, news has arrived that the Yi family in Qinqing has been destroyed. Fukong opened his eyes, surprised. The Yi family? You mean Yi Qiu's family from Qinqing? The very same, the eunuch confirmed. Fukong's face darkened. Who did this? That he was furious. He'd been impressed with Yi Qiu, believing he was destined for greatness. He'd even promised to look after his family while he was away. Now the whole family was gone. How was he supposed to explain that? The old eunuch trembled as he spoke. It said that it was young Master Qin Ting of the Xiantian sect. Fukong was stunned. What? Qin Ting from the Xiantian sect? How could that be? What did the Yi family do to cross him? The eunuch replied. Apparently, Yi Qiu offended Master Qin Ting. He died, and the Yi family was wiped out in the process. Fukong shot to his feet, unable to remain seated. Yi Qiu offended Qin Ting. As the king, he had a better understanding of the eastern wasteland than most. He knew the weight that name carried. He knew that with a snap of Qin Ting's fingers, his kingdom could be destroyed. Disaster was looming. Yi Qiu's death was insignificant in comparison. His only concern was whether Qin Ting would direct his anger toward him, the Fu Kingdom's royal family. After all, he, Fukong, had been a great admirer of Yi Qiu, and his son, Prince Fu Yu, was known to be one of Yi Qiu's closest friends. Everyone knew it. Fukong paused, then coldly commanded, announced that Prince Fu Yu's poor judgment in choosing friends is a breach of moral conduct. He is hereby stripped of his title. Bring back the former deposed prince, Fu Zeng, from his ancestral lands and restore him to the throne. That the old eunuch trembled, bowing his head in agreement. He knew a bloodbath was coming. Fukong stood motionless for a moment, a chill running through him. Fu Yu was his favorite son, and this pained him, but for the sake of his family's legacy, he had to make a sacrifice. Forgive your father. Fukong vanished into thin air. It wasn't just Fu Yu who suffered. Overnight, All the families in the Fu kingdom who had ties to Yi Qiu were caught in the crosshairs. The entire tragedy was motivated by the Fu kingdom's fear of being associated with Yi Qiu, a desperate attempt to prove their loyalty to Qin Ting, even though Qin Ting couldn't have cared less. Back at Taiyu Flying Tower, Qin Ting was in the main hall, still gazing at his system panel. The system stated that if he didn't get 100,000 villain points, he would be awarded a lottery opportunity. Now, Qin Ting still has 10 lottery chances in total. The cold voice of the system asked, "The host still has 10 lottery opportunities, are you sure to use it once?" Qin Ting nodded, confirmed to use it. A large turntable appeared in front of Qin Ting, and the pointer on the turntable started to go crazy. "Turn it up." After a long time, the pointer stopped. "Ding, congratulations to the host for drawing the Qingxin pill." Qin Ting looked at the elixir that appeared in his hand with a wry smile. "This elixir is just an entry-level elixir, and ordinary Taoist boys can also refine it. Although the Qingxin elixir produced by this system is perfect in appearance, it can also be refined by an elixir master. There is no Qingxin pill with such a perfect appearance, but Qingxin pill is a Qingxin pill. No matter how good the appearance is, it is still a Qingxin pill." Qin Ting shook his head, not too disappointed. "In the lottery, it is possible to draw garbage," Qin Ting said. "Keep on drawing." The pointer on the turntable began to rotate crazily again. "Ding, congratulations to the host for drawing the Baizhang sword." "Ding, congratulations to the host for drawing the Taichu pill." "Ding, congratulations to the host for drawing the flying snake scripture." "Ding, congratulations to the host for drawing the Qi Dan." Qin Ting looked helplessly at the pile of garbage in front of him. Is it really not a good time to draw a lottery today? No one has such luck. Looking at the last chance left, he smiled bitterly and said, "Take it again." The pointer on the turntable began to rotate crazily again. After a long time, the pointer stopped. "Ding, congratulations to the host for drawing the God-level skill code of all gods." Qin Ting's breathing quickened as he read the introduction to the Code of the Gods. Chapter 55. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The Code of the 10,000 Gods, a skill said to be on par with the gods themselves, promised a sea of possibilities, an endless wellspring of life. It could merge different cultivation techniques, learn from their strengths, and balance their contrasting energies. Qin Ting's heart pounded when he read this. In this world, cultivators were typically limited to mastering just one technique in their lifetime. For instance, Qin Ting practiced the Tai Xian Jing. He could only use this specific technique. Trying to switch to another meant completely erasing the Tai Xian Jing from his mind. Forcing oneself to practice two techniques simultaneously would cause them to clash, inevitably leading to madness. But this Code of the 10,000 Gods made it possible to practice multiple techniques at the same time, fuse them together, and create something new. Such an ability was unheard of. A light flickered in Qin Ting's eyes. He sat down and began to study this new technique. 2 weeks later, the flying ship, Taiyu, landed. Qin Ting opened his eyes in the main hall and slowly released a breath. Joy flashed across his face. The Code of the 10,000 Gods was as incredible as it sounded. As a system reward, it seemed tailor-made for him. He quickly grasped the technique, but what truly excited him were the changes to the Tai Xian Jing. Now, with the Code of the 10,000 Gods as the foundation and the Tai Xian Jing as a supplement, the code was like a blank canvas, and the Tai Xian Jing integrated into it like splashed ink. Qin Ting immediately noticed that the Tai Xian Jing was now even more powerful than before. The Tai Xian Jing was a technique originally practiced by Patriarch Xiantian and was considered one of the most potent in the world, and now it could be improved upon. Although Qin Ting had other skills, he didn't immediately fuse them. The techniques he wanted to merge had to be on the level of a prodigy and true classics of their time. The techniques of the major holy grounds would be a great start, the Yuanshi Sect's Yuanshi Dao, the Xingyue Sect's Star Gathering Mystery, and the ancient shrines Qingxian method were all as renowned as the Xiantian sect's Tai Xian Jing. They were all iconic texts, and there was the Qianyuan sect's Qiankun Hunyuan Jing. Qin Ting's eyes grew distant as he pondered. A few days later, the Xiantian sect's mountain gate finally came into view. Elder Lu looked excited. He had lost a power struggle within the sect and left Xiantian's sect with a heavy heart. He'd been stationed in Kaoshan City for over 50 years. Now, he was finally returning. And it was all thanks to the young master. Elder Lu glanced at Qin Ting, resolving to latch onto him. The Taiyu docked at Yunhai Pier, and Qin Ting said goodbye to the disciples. The disciples were respectful. Their experience on Lianyan Mountain had genuinely convinced them of Qin Ting's abilities. Back at Taishu Peak, Qin Ting sighed. He'd been gone for months, and much had changed. On his return, he could sense the change in the sect's attitude. Countless elders had been waiting for him on his way back to Taishu Peak, just to exchange a few words. As for Jiang Zhongbai, the sect had completely dismissed him. After Elder Lu reported the incident, they'd simply announced that Jiang Zhongbai had colluded with outsiders to harm his fellow disciples. He was guilty of an unforgivable crime and deserved to die, so he was stripped of his discipleship. He was gone without a trace. No one mentioned Jiang Zhongbai. Everyone just looked at Qin Ting and the Holy Son who was about to arrive with enthusiasm. From that moment on, the Xiantian sect would only have one voice, Qin Ting's voice. Chapter 56. You are listening at novelfull.audio. A few days later, at Taishu Peak, Qin Ting's eyes snapped open, a tremor running through his very blood. Just then, Niayu entered, bowing deeply. Young master. The head of the family has emerged from seclusion and wishes to see you. Qin Ting's eyes narrowed. Emperor Qin was out. The most powerful figure in the entire eastern wasteland, the backbone of the Xiantian sect, a void god of immense power, head of the Qin family, Emperor Qin himself, had broken his seclusion. At Taishu Cave, the peaks rose like swords aimed at the sky, towering thousands of feet above the clouds. Auspicious clouds clung to the mountainsides, forming a sea of swirling mist that blazed with golden light when the sun hit. The spiritual energy here was incredibly dense, almost as rich as on Qin Ting's own Taishu Peak. This was a small world, carved out by the Qin family's ancestors using their extraordinary powers. Countless members of the family lived and thrived here. Within this small world stood a magnificent city, larger than many small countries. Only direct descendants of the Qin family resided within its walls, and in the palace at the city's heart lived Emperor Qin. This was also where Qin Ting had grown up. As Qin Ting arrived at Taishu Cave, Qin clan members bowed in respect, their gazes filled with deference for their young master. These were powerful cultivators, most at the divine wheel realm. Many experts at the magical power realm were also present. Dozens of intensely powerful auras filled the city, clearly belonging to Shrine Realm masters. Keep in mind, the Xiantian sect, a dominant force in the eastern wasteland, only had a little over 30 Shrine Realm experts. The Qin family boasted over a dozen. That showed the family's incredible strength. This was the Qin family, an ancient and influential clan of cultivators, a superpower that had dominated the eastern wasteland for hundreds of thousands of years. As Qin Ting entered the palace, the scene before him shifted, and he found himself drawn into a vast hall by some unseen force. The hall was majestic, filled with swirling mists, exuding power and mystery. On a throne in the center sat a middle-aged man in a black imperial robe, radiating an aura of awe-inspiring mystery. Qin Ting looked, but couldn't make out the man's features. The great Tao. He controlled the very way of heaven. This was the power of a void god. Qin Ting lowered his head respectfully. Greetings, father. The middle-aged man, Emperor Qin, spoke in a deep voice. You've reached the magical power realm. Excellent, excellent. It seems good fortune comes in pairs. Qin Ting was surprised. He raised his head. Good fortune comes in pairs. Father, have you? Emperor Qin smiled. My seclusion this time bore some fruit. I can say I have stepped one foot into that realm. Qin Ting felt a surge of joy. Emperor Qin had actually broken through the void god realm and reached the legendary transformed god realm. He hadn't fully entered it, but that was already incredibly rare. The great void god was undeniably a top figure in the eastern wasteland, but a dozen or so people had reached that level. Only one cultivator in the entire eastern wasteland had reached the transformed god realm. That was the Xiantian sect's supreme elder, Patriarch Ing Huang. This was why the Xiantian sect was in charge of the eastern wasteland. Patriarch Yinghuang had guarded the Xiantian sect for tens of thousands of years. Now, nearing his end, he had been in seclusion for thousands of years, detached from worldly affairs. Emperor Qin stepping into the transformed God realm was a momentous event that would shake the entire eastern wasteland. His Qin family would be elevated even higher. Qin Ting knew that the stronger Emperor Qin became, the better protected he would be. Why did Ji Yanzhao give Yi Qiu's ring to Qin Ting? Wasn't it out of fear of Emperor Qin's power? Did she think Qin Ting didn't notice her eyes on him? Qin Ting's status in the sect was due partly to his talent, but also to being the son of Emperor Qin. Many elders were in his corner, because they were loyal to Emperor Qin, members of the Qin family. "Congratulations, father," Qin Ting said. Emperor Qin smiled. "You've done well, Tinger. Reaching the magical power realm at 18 means your future achievements will be no less than mine." He paused. "The Holy Sun position will be decided in the next few days. Prepare yourself." Qin Ting nodded, unsurprised. He had no rivals in the sect, and with Emperor Qin's emergence from seclusion, the matter was practically settled. Then, Qin Ting said, "Father, I need the best cultivation techniques." "The very best." Emperor Qin looked at him, raised a finger, and a beam of golden light shot into Qin Ting's mind. Qin Ting felt new cultivation methods taking root there. Emperor Qin explained, "This is the Eternal Emperor art, which I myself cultivated, as well as several other methods I acquired outside the territory in my youth. They are all excellent classics, no worse than the Taishan Sutra you currently practice." Emperor Qin didn't ask why Qin Ting wanted so many top techniques, nor did he tell him not to try to cultivate too many at once. He knew his son well. Qin Ting must have his own reasons. He was the Qilin son of the Qin clan, after all. How could he be anything less than extraordinary? P.S. The student from Chapter 48 has been successfully reformed and released from prison after serving his sentence. Let's welcome him back with open arms. Chapter 57. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 3 days later, at Taishu Peak, ever since Qin Ting returned from Taishu Cave, the sect announced that in a month, he'd officially be named the Holy Son of Xiantian's sect in a grand ceremony. Suddenly, everyone and their mother wanted to visit, hoping to get on the future Holy Son's good side. Qin Ting got so swamped he had to declare himself in seclusion, which, of course, only fueled the admiration. So diligent, that Holy Son. Xiantian's sect's future is bright. Back in his main hall, Qin Ting carefully examined the ring in his hand. After a while, he activated the soul-nourishing jade beside him, feeding energy into the ring. Before long, the ring floated into the air all by itself. Qin Ting knew this meant the ancient soul within was waking up. A ghostly image of an old man flickered above the ring. It was Yi Qiu's former master, the ancient being who called himself Ling Lao. Ling Lao calmly observed Qin Ting. He wasn't stupid. Seeing himself summoned by Qin Ting, he knew exactly what had happened. A sigh escaped him. Yi Qiu hadn't escaped his fate after all. Having lived for ages, he was beyond petty grievances, but he'd been fond of Yi Qiu. They'd spent day and night together, and he believed Yi Qiu was destined for greatness. But in the end, Qin Ting had won. Qin Ting gave a slight bow to the spectral figure. "Greetings, senior." Ling Lao looked at Qin Ting with icy eyes. "You woke me up, kid. What do you want?" Qin Ting smiled slyly. "What should I call you, senior?" Ling Lao paused for a moment. "Just call me Mr. Ling." He added, "Now, why did you wake me?" Qin Ting smiled. "I'm curious. Yi Qiu's got talent, sure, but he's no prodigy. How'd he improve so fast?" "Care to explain, senior?" Ling Lao's voice was like ice. "You killed my disciple, and now you want secrets from me?" Qin Ting chuckled. "Sure, why not? Depends on what's in it for me, right?" Before Ling Lao could speak, Qin Ting pressed on. "You were a big shot once, Mr. Ling, someone who shook the world. Don't you ever want to come back?" Ling Lao's expression shifted slightly. "What are you getting at?" Qin Ting grinned. "I'm betting you know all about soul seizing." Ling Lao's pupils constricted. He fell silent, but the spark in his eyes betrayed him. He was interested. Qin Ting continued, but taking over a body is tricky. You need the right host. I doubt you'd settle for some average Joe. Ling Lao was silent for a beat. What kind of body could you find for me? Qin Ting smiled. Divine Platform Realm. I can get you a young Divine Platform powerhouse. You can take that to the bank. Ling Lao was silent, knowing the young man before him was indeed capable, the young master of the Qin family, holy son of Xiantian. Ling Lao asked suddenly, I want a Divine Palace Realm body. Qin Ting smiled and shook his head. Come on, senior, be realistic. Divine Palace cultivators are powerhouses. Each one is a figure in the eastern wilderness. Let's not talk about the difficulty of capturing the powerful ones in the Divine Palace. Even if we successfully capture them, we will still be able to capture them. Causing shock in the eastern wasteland, Ling Lao knew a Divine Palace body was a pipe dream. He was just testing the waters. If Qin Ting agreed, something was up, an existence that has lived for endless years, and it's so easy to trust people. But Qin Ting refused directly, which seemed to be somewhat sincere. Qin Ting sneered inwardly. Does he really think I can't see through him? But his face is gentle way by, like Mr. Qian, was waiting for Ling Lao's reply. Ling Lao thought for a long moment before asking, and if I say no? Qin Ting's smile vanished. Then I'll just have to seal you back up. Maybe you'll find another suitable disciple in a few million years. Ling Lao fell silent, considering his options. Qin Ting didn't rush him. He waited. Finally, Ling Lao spoke. What do you want? A smile flickered across Qin Ting's lips. I want the techniques Yi Qiu was using. Now that he'd made up his mind, Ling Lao nodded. The Tianxian Fire Sutra is a technique I practiced before me. It was a classic in ancient times. You don't need to use the Taishan Sutra of Xiantian sect. The best thing about the Tianxian Fire Sutra is that it can fuse with different fires, fuse the different fires with itself, and increase your cultivation. Every time you fuse a different kind of fire, your cultivation level will rise to a higher level. It's just that the strange fire is too rare and difficult to find. Without the fusion of the strange fire, the progress of practicing the Tianxian Fire Sutra alone will be slow, so the Tianxian Hua Sutra has declined, and no one knows about it now. Ling Lao sighed. Ling Lao's expression changed, and a jade slip flew out of the ring and flew into Qin Ting's hand. Ling Lao said lightly, the jade slip records the Tianxian Hua Sutra. You can read it yourself. Don't forget our agreement. After that, he returned to the ring. Qin Ting played with the jade slip in his hand, and a sneer gradually appeared at the corner of his mouth. Chapter 58. You are listening at novelfull.audio. A month flew by. The Tianxianhua Fire Sutra lived up to the hype, rivaling the Taishan Sutra in its complexity and depth. Even with the help of the 10,000 Gods Code, Qin Ting barely managed to make progress in his cultivation. This heavenly mysterious Fire Sutra was indeed a technique that integrated different types of fire. After practicing it, Qin Ting felt a deeper connection to the earthly Emperor Xuanhua. Once he fully integrated the Earth Emperor mysterious fire, he'd level up his cultivation and break into the Divine Platform realm. But right now, Qin Ting had something even bigger on his plate. The Holy Sun ceremony was about to kick off. This ceremony was the biggest deal Xiantian sect had seen in years. With the Holy Sun finally chosen, the infighting was over. All the forces would be united, and Xiantian sect would speak with one voice from now on. The selection of Xiantian sect's Holy Sun wasn't just big news for them, it was a major event for the entire Eastern Wasteland. Holy lands and sects alike were sending representatives to witness the ceremony, partly out of respect for Xiantian sect, but also to size up Qin Ting and get a sense of the future leader's style. That way, they could figure out how to deal with him down the line. The whole Xiantian sect was a hive of activity. Hundreds of thousands of disciples stood in perfect formation in a massive square, led by Zhou Pingyue, Li Juning, Luo Yuan, Feng Qianhan, and two other newly appointed true disciples. Behind them were hundreds of inner disciples, tens of thousands of outer disciples, And then the hundreds of thousands of regular disciples, a dense, orderly, and spirited display, showcasing the elegance of the eastern wasteland's top holy land. The elders were seated on high platforms around the square, radiating power. 35 divine platforms materialized in the sky above Shentian's sect, broadcasting to the world the presence of 35 powerful figures within their ranks. The envoys from the major holy lands weren't looking too happy. Shentian's sect was even more powerful than they realized. The Yuanshi sect's elder, a master in the divine platform realm, looked particularly grim. One of his goals in coming was to assess Shentian's sect's strength, but he hadn't expected to see 35 divine platform powerhouses displayed openly. And that was just what they were showing. His Yuanshi sect claimed to be the second greatest holy land in the eastern wasteland, always looking to challenge Shentian's sect, but as far as he knew, Yuanshi sect only had 21 divine platform experts in total. The elder sighed inwardly, realizing Yuanshi sect was still lacking in depth. Mu Qingyi was even more stunned. The sight of those 35 divine platform experts sent a shock through her. As the daughter of the Qianyuan sect's leader, she was well versed in her sect's situation. Qianyuan sect only had 8 divine platform experts in the open. With 3 more hidden away, the total was just 11. Shentian's sect truly was the super sect that had ruled the eastern wasteland for hundreds of thousands of years. Its foundation was terrifying. The smaller sects were even more intimidated. Suddenly, the sky darkened, and everyone felt the air thicken. On the highest platform, 4 figures appeared, gazing down upon Shentian's sect. The 4 virtual gods of Shentian's sect had arrived. Everyone in Shentian's sect, including the Holy Land envoys, bowed to the 4 figures in respect. This was the power of the virtual god, suppressing all creation and overlooking the eastern wasteland. Master Ling Shao, the leader of Shentian's sect, had been in charge for over 900 years. He was notoriously reclusive and didn't concern himself with worldly matters, a point of criticism. The Qin family nearly devoured half of Shentian's sect, and he didn't even bat an eye. Emperor Qin, the chief elder of the Shentian sect's cabinet, was now considered the hidden number 1 figure in Shentian's sect. Qiujiu, the chief law enforcement elder of Shentian's sect, oversaw the law enforcement court. He was an uncompromising enemy of evil, always remaining neutral in internal power struggles, and commanded great respect. Master Shi, Shentian's sect's great enshrined elder, was in charge of the enshrinement court and kept an extremely low profile. These 4 were the true masters of Shentian's sect. Suddenly, everyone heard a bell ring. Looking up, they saw a copper bell of unknown depth and height placed upside down on the highest mountain, far above the clouds. The sound had come from there. Boom! 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 After the bell, a figure appeared on the highest platform, wearing a purple robe and a gilded crown. He looked like an immortal descended from the heavens. He was handsome, charismatic, and carried himself with remarkable bearing. Every gesture seemed to flow with the Tao, giving off an air of mystery and power. It was Qin Ting. He was the most dazzling figure in the world, his charisma even overshadowing the 4 virtual gods behind him. Countless voices rose in awe, the clouds swirled, and the entire Shentian sect transformed into a vision of paradise. Master Ling Shao stood and announced, Qin Ting, with unparalleled talent, perseverance, and resolve, shows the qualities of a true leader. Today, he is officially appointed as Holy Son. May all fellow disciples unite and help him revitalize Shentian. That his voice wasn't loud, but it carried to every corner of Shentian's sect. Chapter 59. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Master Ling Shao stated firmly, receive the holy weapon. That a palpable energy surged around Qin Ting. Then, a sword materialized before him, the Shenyuan sword, a sacred artifact. The Shentian sect boasts 2 such powerful weapons, the Haotian mirror, symbolizing protection and wielded by the leader, and the Shenyuan sword, symbolizing expansion and entrusted to the Holy Son. This was the Shenyuan sword, right here. As Qin Ting grasped the Shenyuan sword, a vision unlike any other erupted. The sky swirled like a vortex, churning with winds, dark clouds, thunder, and lightning. Then, faint celestial music filled the air as the morning sun burst through, casting a beam of light upon him. Qin Ting stood bathed in glory, a god incarnate. The Xianyuan sword had recognized him, the sacred weapon had found its master. Witnessing this, hundreds of thousands of Xiantian sect disciples dropped to one knee, shouting as one, "Hail, Holy Son!" The cries echoed outward like tidal waves, engulfing the world. The elders rose to their feet, bowing deeply and chanting, "Hail, Holy Son!" Qin Ting, Xianyuan sword in hand, gazed down, below the platform, across the square. A sea of people chanted his name and paid homage. Everywhere Qin Ting looked, heads bowed, and the cry went up, "Hail, Holy Son!" Even the envoys from the Holy Lands were swept up in the moment, standing to offer their respects. He was a god, a sovereign. The one and only divine presence in the world. He reveled in the feeling. Elder Lu, the newly appointed law enforcement elder, beamed with joy, drawing envious glances from his colleagues. Everyone knew the old guy had struck gold, cozying up to the Holy Son. He'd skyrocketed from an obscure resident elder to a powerful law enforcement figure, gaining favor with the higher-ups. Word was, the grand law enforcement elder himself had personally commended him. Envy abounded. Many couldn't help but think of Elder Zhang, who'd reportedly taken his own life just days before. A powerful man reduced to such a pathetic end. The importance of choosing the right side wasn't lost on anyone. All eyes were on Elder Lu. 3 days later, the Xiantian sect had finally returned to normal. The Holy Land envoys had departed, and Mu Qingyi had left with the Qianyuan sect as well. Back at Taishu Peak, inside the main hall, Qin Ting stared at the ring before him, a cold glint in his eyes. The ring hovered in the air, and an old man's image flickered into existence. It was Ling Lao. Ling Lao asked calmly, "Now that you've mastered the Tianxian Fire Sutra, it's time to honor our agreement. Where is my body, resting on the altar?" Qin Ting smiled. "No rush, no rush." Ling Lao's eyes narrowed. "Are you going back on your word?" Qin Ting chuckled. "I simply wish to present my esteemed senior with a grand gift, to express my gratitude for passing on his martial arts." An infinite blue light erupted from above Qin Ting's head, solidifying into a jade bell that faced upward. In an instant, the old man was sucked inside. Elder Ling recoiled in shock. Looking up, he saw the constellations swirl, the sun and moon shifting in rapid cycles. He knew he'd fallen into Qin Ting's trap. Ling Lao snarled, "How dare you plot against me, you junior? I have existed for millennia, my soul is immortal. What can you possibly do?" Qin Ting's voice echoed, "Perhaps you should take a look around, senior." Ling's heart skipped a beat, and he frantically scanned his surroundings. He was trapped in a formation, surrounded by wailing ghosts, an atmosphere of profound gloom. Ling Lao's pupils shrank, fear flashed in his eyes. The heavenly demon's god-hungry formation? He gasped. Impossible. It's been lost for ages. Qin Ting chuckled. You are well informed, senior. Yes, it is the heavenly demon's god-hungry formation. A formation designed to suppress and devour souls. It's the soul's natural enemy. It may have been lost to time, but Qin Ting had spent 800,000 points to purchase it from the system's mall. All for the purpose of refining Ling Lao. Ling Lao fought to keep his anger in check. I have shared the Tianxian Fire Sutra with you. Why would you betray me? Qin Ting replied, you were Yi Qiu's mentor after all. With such power, I can't afford to leave you around. Ling pleaded, I swear on my very essence that I will never seek revenge for Yi Qiu nor cause you any trouble. I swear it. Qin Ting simply smiled, and began activating the heavenly demon's god-hungry formation. Seeing the formation come to life, Ling Lao's face betrayed his fear and anxiety. I surrender. He cried. I surrender to you, Qin Ting. I possess many secrets. I know the location of other unique flames. Qin Ting scoffed. Spare your breath, senior. I have been eyeing your spiritual thoughts for a long time. At those words, Ling Lao's heart sank. A soul like his harbored immense spiritual power. By refining Ling's consciousness and soul, Qin Ting could obtain centuries of accumulated knowledge. Such a temptation was irresistible. Knowing his fate was sealed, Ling Lao roared in fury, Qin Ting, you treacherous cur. After all my long years, I fall by your hand. I will not accept it, that the god-hungry formation activated, and Ling Lao's spirit was torn apart by a swarm of ravenous ghosts. Chapter 60. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 3 months later, back on Taishu Peak, Qin Ting let out a long breath. Ling Lao was right, being a soul that's hung around for millennia has its perks. The guy's got serious spiritual juice, that it took him 3 months of constant work, using ancient, hardcore formations like the heavenly demon devouring god formation, to whittle down Ling Lao's consciousness. Now, all that's left is the raw, untamed spiritual power he built up over eons. Spiritual power is weird stuff. It dictates your potential, while your actual cultivation determines how far you've come. Think of it this way, spiritual power sets the ceiling, and cultivation sets the floor. That's why you see divine will masters stuck in a rut. They've got the cultivation down, but their spiritual power is weak. Can't hit that next level, and you can't just force spiritual power to grow. It needs the right spark, the right moment. That's why folks call those who level up their spiritual power fast geniuses. Take Qin Ting, for example. He's at the peak of the magical power stage in cultivation, but his spiritual power is already divine platform level. All he needs is a little more cultivation, and he'll rocket up to the divine platform realm. That's why everyone calls him a once-in-a-generation prodigy. Looking at the swirling mass of spiritual power before him, even Qin Ting felt a rush. Absorbing this would push his spiritual power to the very top of the divine palace stage. Something practically unheard of. Qin Ting steeled himself, sat down, and started pulling in that massive wave of power. When you're cultivating, time flies. Half a year zipped by. It took Qin Ting 3 months to refine Ling Lao, but 6 months to absorb all that spiritual power. But it was worth it. He completely absorbed it, rocketing his own spiritual power to the peak of the divine palace realm. Totally mind-blowing. Qin Ting felt a jolt, like his mind had been supercharged. Now he really got what all the fuss about high-level spiritual awareness was about. He got up and headed out. Niayu was waiting by the door. Seeing Qin Ting emerge after all this time, Niayu bowed respectfully. Young master, Qin Ting nodded slightly. What's been happening around here? Niayu answered. Zhou Pingyue dropped by a few times. When he learned you were in seclusion, he went back into his own. Swore he wouldn't come out until he hit the magical power realm. Li Juning also stopped by twice, but you were still unavailable. Qin Ting nodded, surprised that Li Juning had actually come to see him more than once. Remembering their agreement, a smile touched his lips. He said to Niayu, now that I'm out, send word for Li Juning to come see me. Qin Ting was now the Holy Sun. He couldn't just drop in on Li Juning like before. Now, a simple summons would bring her running. That was the power of the Holy Sun. He and Li Juning used to be friends, but now they were boss and subordinate. Taishu Peak, a quiet courtyard, next to a green pond in the middle of a garden was a set of natural stone furniture. Someone had already brewed tea, the fresh aroma permeating the air. Qin Ting was there, lost in thought. Footsteps approached, and Qin Ting looked up to see a woman in white slowly walking towards him. Li Juning looked at Qin Ting, gave a slight bow, and said, Juning greets the Holy Sun. Qin Ting stepped forward and helped Li Juning up. He said warmly, Senior Sister Li, no need for formalities. We're not strangers here. The two sat down, and Qin Ting smiled. I wanted to see you last time, Senior Sister, but you were in seclusion. Li Juning nodded and said, my master and I went to Wanhuan Fairyland. I missed you. Qin Ting glanced at Li Juning and smiled. Senior Sister has entered the magical power realm. Congratulations. Li Juning blushed slightly and said softly, it's nothing compared to the Holy Sun. Just got lucky. She sighed inwardly. Qin Ting was advancing so fast. It wasn't long ago that he was just starting out, but a year ago, he broke through to the magical power realm at the age of 18, stunning the eastern wilderness, and now he had defeated Jiang Zhongbai, who was in the divine platform realm, and ascended to the position of Holy Sun in one fell swoop. Chapter 61. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Qin Ting smiled. I was hoping to trade some techniques with my senior sister, so I figured I'd seize the opportunity. He stood and walked to the center of the courtyard. Suddenly, the sky turned stormy, lightning and thunder erupting from what was once a cloudless expanse. A pall fell over the entire Xiantian sect. Disciples looked up, trying to figure out the source of the strange phenomenon. Someone spotted it first, shouting, "Look! It's coming from the Holy Sun's Taishu Peak." Sure enough, the strange atmospheric disturbance originated from Taishu Peak. The divine power reaches the heavens. Is this the Holy Sun's technique? It's beyond comprehension. Yeah, nothing like this has ever been seen before. He is the Holy Sun, after all. Majestic thunder light gathered in Qin Ting's palm, exploding in a dazzling burst. Divine thunder filled the sky, radiating a world-destroying aura. Celestial tribulation lightning. The massive bolt of lightning shot out, slamming into an uninhabited mountain range. Boom. The entire Xiantian sect shuddered. Everyone stared in disbelief as the mountain range, thousands of feet high, simply vanished. In its place, a basin was formed. If not for the lingering thunder light, you'd think the mountain range never existed. He's like a young Thor. The Holy Sun's power makes even the heavens surrender. The disciples erupted in praise. The elders were also awestruck. Now they truly grasped Qin Ting's power. It was clear his strength surpassed even the most powerful experts in the divine platform realm. They exchanged pleased nods. He truly is the Holy Sun. The Xiantian sect is destined for glory. Li Juning, stunned by the power of the technique, asked, "Holy Sun, did you create that yourself?" Qin Ting smiled and nodded. Admiration shone in Li Juning's eyes. Qin Ting had actually created such a devastating technique. As a true disciple of the Xiantian sect, she naturally trained in the sect's techniques, but this technique Qin Ting had made himself could easily rank among the best the Xiantian sect had to offer. His talent was undeniable. Suddenly, Qin Ting extended a finger, and a ray of light shot into Li Juning's mind. She felt a new technique forming in her memory. She looked at Qin Ting in disbelief. He had just given her that technique. Celestial tribulation lightning was incredibly powerful and valuable. Yet Qin Ting had passed it on without a second thought. Li Juning was deeply moved, speechless. Later that evening, in the main hall, Qin Ting closed his eyes, focusing on his divine palace. Creak, the door opened, and a maid entered carrying a bowl of ginseng soup, clearly having taken extra care with her appearance. After a moment, Qin Ting recognized her, Lu Susu, Yi Qiu's childhood sweetheart, who had chosen to follow Qin Ting, becoming a maid and sparking a whole mess of trouble later. Lu Susu placed the ginseng soup on the table, saying softly, "Master, please have this bowl of ginseng soup." Qin Ting looked at her and said abruptly, "Do you know about Yi Qiu?" Lu Susu paused, nodding. "I do." She looked at Qin Ting, her gaze adoring, and said sweetly, "Yi Qiu was a fool. He insisted on going against you, master. He brought this on himself." Her words were sincere. In her eyes, Qin Ting was a divine dragon destined to soar to the heavens, while Yi Qiu was just a sparrow with a little talent. There was no comparison. It was absurd for Yi Qiu to try fighting a losing battle. He had only himself to blame for how it ended. Hearing about Yi Qiu's death, while she felt a pang, she also breathed a sigh of relief. Qin Ting remained noncommittal. He had never actually summoned Lu Susu. Truth be told, he'd forgotten about her. He had almost completely forgotten about her. Had she not come today, he doubted he would have remembered her at all.